I hate to say it, because hockey is the sport that I know and love the most. It is a passion of mine, a hobby of mine, and it's the sport that's allowed me to garner a career on the internet making YouTube videos. But I'll say this. It's the first time that I'm ever going to say this. But hockey doesn't matter today. And there is a good amount of angst there. I know this is technically a Vancouver Canucks post-game video, but the Canucks ended up losing 5-2 to the Minnesota Wild. A Wild team that was losing 5 games in a row. A Wild team that got booed off of their own home ice after a 4-1 loss at the hands of the Pittsburgh Penguins. A Wild team that, by all accounts, was down and out for the count. The Vancouver Canucks just lost to that Minnesota Wild team 5-2. And this was a game that, unfortunately, I think just a culmination of everything this team has gone through catching up at some point. But of course, as I said at the beginning of this video, hockey doesn't matter today. I live in Vancouver. I'm here. I got friends. We all love the Vancouver Canucks. Love them, hate them, we watch them. At bars, at clubs, at home, with our folks, with our friends, with our family. We all watch the Canucks. Hockey crazed town here, right? But I can't tell you the amount of people on one hand of mine that chose to watch this game voluntarily over the Toronto Blue Jays. And at best, you had folks like me going out there and switching back and forth between the two channels every commercial break. So this is like the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where I, as a primary hockey fan who makes hockey-related commentary videos, who obsesses over every goal, every assist, every line change, every single detail, especially when it comes to my Canucks, this is the first and maybe even the only time where I can sit here and say, yeah, I was actually thinking more so about baseball. I'm not even a baseball fan. I'm just caught up in the hype. Total bandwagoner because I'm a Canadian dude? Yeah, definitely. And oh, look at that. Ivan Demidov just scored in Montreal. That's crazy. But nevertheless, let's talk about this Vancouver Canucks game because there were a number of things that we can still be proud of for this team, despite the 5-2 loss. And as I said, this game was almost like the culmination of every symptom Vancouver has had, catching up to them, inevitably. No Quinn Hughes, no Filip, no Connor Garland, no Teddy Bluger, no Lekaramaki. But, we actually did have some really interesting updates about that. Quinn Hughes was spotted on a plane over to Minnesota yesterday. Somebody on Twitter ended up tweeting a picture of the back of his head. And it was later confirmed that, yeah, Quinn is with the team, but he wasn't going to play today against the Wild. You still had some young guys in the lineup. You had Tom Wilander, Elias Pettersson on the blue line. They were getting some more moments and some more opportunities. You had to overcharge Marcus Petey and Phil Hronek. Phil Hronek played 25 minutes today. He has been an absolute tank, locking things down on the back end. He had 5 shots on goal as well. Phil Hronek really wants to get that monkey off of his back and actually contribute on the goal column. But Vancouver's roster was so depleted. You had Drew O'Connor coming in here and scoring 2 goals. You had Mackenzie McEachern getting himself a point. You had Atu Ratu getting some points too. Ultimately, where the Vancouver Canucks excelled in this one, it was with their depth guys just going out there and throwing pucks towards the goal. For some reason, the top unit, especially when they're on the power play, the Vancouver Canucks just don't really have that X factor when Quinn Hughes is not in the lineup. And even though we did see a beautiful Elias Pettersson one-time bomb a few games ago, it's something so strange with this team that we saw today on a power play unit which featured Sherwood, DeBrusk, Besser, Pettersson, and Hronek. They just couldn't shoot. Their hands and their hockey sticks were the equivalent of being tongue-tied. It was just not activating. And you saw the only results Vancouver was able to get in this game. It's Drew O'Connor, both times, finding himself the time and the space to just wrist it on goal. The first one, he ends up burying a rebound, and the second one, he comes in off the face-off and fires it right by Filip Gustavsson. The Wild ended up scoring some other goals here too, starting out with Vladimir Tarasenko coming in on the power play, taking a loose bobbling puck and deking to the backhand. It's a really unlucky break for Demko because you don't expect the puck to flutter in front in that way. Marco Rossi gave the Wild a 2-1 lead after Drew O'Connor's first goal of the hockey contest. It's Vladimir Tarasenko who takes a long drive on goal, and the rebound plops right onto the side for Rossi there. Vinnie Hinostroza quickly made it 3-1 in the third period as he ends up capitalizing on Vancouver's offensive pressure. He takes the puck up himself, just breezes by Tyler Myers, comes in, and fires one off the glove of Demko and in. Demko admittedly was starting to look a little bit human in the third period, and that was no more exemplified than when Jonas Brodin made it 4-1 as he walked down the left side, just kind of approached the goal line from distance, and then just threw the puck on goal. It goes off of Demko's glove and it squeaks under. Demko looks like he thinks he has it, but the puck is actually underneath and in the net. And for these plays right here, I was kind of thinking, man, like, Thatcher the Snatcher has been so good all year. He is allowed to have a bad goal or a bad game. He's allowed to make these mistakes because they happen. It's hockey. But this game was the worst time for Demko to have that moment because they're playing a cold team. Minnesota's not great. Vancouver's roster is depleted. They're not shooting. The most effective offensive players are the ones at the bottom of the lineup. And then you have those goals going in from Brodin and Hinostroza. 4-1 Minnesota before Drew O'Connor made it 4-2. Ryan Hartman then gets himself the empty net play. 5-2 Minnesota. That's it. Everybody can switch back over full-time to the Toronto Blue Jays. But I will say there were some other hype-worthy moments. I mean, second half of the third period, I thought Vancouver was actually starting to get some really good pressure and some decent opportunities there. You want to see more of that throughout the course of the entire game and not just in the last 5 minutes, but guys like Elias Pettersson and Tom Wielander activating and getting involved and moving the puck around and just allowing Vancouver to maintain some serious zone time, that was all good. But like on the power play, Vancouver was just not getting any meaningful, significant, dangerous opportunities towards the front of the goal. It was just not working for them, and this is one of these things where I start wondering, like, yeah, how much of the Vancouver Canucks' lack of success or their faults or whatever, how much of this is on the personnel that's on the ice? Because obviously you can say management is to blame for whatever, building a team, having them lose, etc. But nobody expected 9 injuries. 8. Besser's back. Right. Nobody expected 8 injuries. And now Mackenzie McEachern is being forced to play a meaningful role in the middle to bottom 6, and he's getting points. Drew O'Connor's finally getting that monkey off the back, so at some point, you know, you have to just be willing to accept reality that Vancouver is not a team that is playing in the way that it was built. They were built to be better than this, but they just couldn't stay healthy. And now, this is one of the big games where, yeah, you could really see that their talent level was just not up to where it needed to be in this one. Meanwhile, let's go Blue Jays, am I right? Chris Bassett's going to go up against, who has he got? Shohei? I'm not too sure, but yeah, I'm going to go back over to watching this game. And yeah, skipping the rest of hockey for tonight because this is important. I actually have my own men's league ice hockey game later tonight too, so it's going to be quite the intriguing night of sports and activities, but either way, Canucks and Wild, game's over. Minnesota wins 5-2. Thoughts in the comment section below about Vancouver. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.